This is a call from my spirit to set our intentions for this interview and for our work at hand. I call in truth, love, right action, and the desire always to employ divine wisdom, ever at our request. So we set our intentions now for the highest good and for the freedom that is ours for the taking. And so it is.
Thank you, Charlie. Hi, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This evening, we're going to be discussing small claims court and how we can use that to our best advantage. With me tonight is William, our fugitive Richard, our boss Charlie, and Henry from Colorado. I'd like to say a couple of things before we get too far into this. We have been to a place where I consider it a cusp or a crux where when that happened, something else should have happened and it didn't. And that's very bothersome. And they keep coming up. I think this is it. This will wake the people up and we will go for it now. And it passes. And then another one comes. And I think that's going to be it. And it passes too. And we do all of these things and we think that something's going to happen and we never get past the crux and we never get past the cusp and it's turning out to be uh, a division and a division between we and they or a division between uh, those that go for the vax and those that don't go for the vax. And then it goes for people that go for the vax, but then they say, no, you can't vax my kid. So then they go from the no for the vax back over to the side, you can't vax my kid. And then somebody says, I draw the line at a mask. And somebody else says, well, I draw the line at making my kid wear a mask. And and it's just excruciating to try and figure out how we can bring this back to a constitutional Republican form of government. And I think that we've gotten to another crux or another cusp. And I want to read this so that I won't leave anything out. And I think this is the dividing line between we and they. It's not the dividing line between vax or no vax or Republican or Democrat or left or right. None of that's the 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 dividing line. I think this is the dividing line. There is an active conspiracy. The industrial, military, judicial, legislative, executive, banker, bar, royalist, Nazi, communist, Muslim, Catholic, Jewish, Georgia Guidestone complex. And that's the side we're against. In my mind, that's pretty damn clear. That's a lot against us. But when you get right down to it, all power is inherent in the people. Now, the main speaker tonight is going to be Richard. He's our fugitive. I've known him for years. I love him dearly. He's my friend. Once you make one of those, you've got one. They're almost impossible to lose. But Richard's strong, and he came up with an idea. And the idea Henry said, "Why didn't I think of that?" And I think the same thing. And the idea is we, the people, take it to them in small claims court, not in the de facto court, but in the small claims court. And Richard had the idea, and I'd like him to explain it if you would, Richard. And I'll jump in, of course, and Charlie and Henry and William and anybody that wants to unmute, they can unmute and talk and then mute again, and we'll get this done. We tried it the other day and didn't get it recorded properly, but we'll get it done tonight. This is what we're going to do on Oregon, and I hope everybody that hears this comprehends just exactly how important this is. This could be it. I really do believe it. Richard, would you tell us about your idea, please?
Sure, thanks. And there was one other entity in your list of the bad guys, and that was the corporate community. So with that, I was riding on TriMet's Max line, the train, the local train. That Max or TriMet is the regional government that manages this transit outfit. And every time the door opened and closed, there was a recording triggered, and the recording says, pursuant to the federal and state mandates, masks are required at all times while riding TriMet. And it's just so irritating to hear that time after time after time, and it's not true. It's first of all, it's an inadequate sentence. There's no subject, there's no person, no human, no people described who must wear a mask. It just starts off, masks are required at all times. Oh, okay, well, who are you talking about? And I thought, well, I want to find out about this. And I tried to call the TriMet information line, and they wouldn't tell me. They couldn't tell me. They said they didn't know, and they said I'd have to call their attorneys, and I couldn't get through to their attorneys. I eventually got 11 names of 11 attorneys for TriMet. Never talked to any of them, and I finally said, well, I'm going to sue these people, or at least I'm going to make a claim and make them either talk or pay me, one or the other. And so I ended up asking them to send me a claim form. I don't do email because I'm a fugitive, and they have caught me before using my internet service provider. So they sent me the claim form, and I have submitted it. I've submitted a claim for the minimum amount, the maximum amount that you can get in small claims court, which is now $10,000. They have, I think it's 14 days to decide. No, that's the small claims. They get a while to decide what to do with their claim, the claim that I sent them. But if they don't respond, and think about this, if you were them and you were lying, would you want to go to court? Would you want to answer? Would you want to put your answer on the record, on any piece of paper or on any audio recording? I say you probably would not. In all likelihood, you can't if you're going to continue to do business. So I have filed my claim, and now I'm waiting to see what will happen. But when they don't respond at all, I'm going to file a claim in small claims. And part of the first part of doing that is that you have to prove that you have acted in good faith and you have given them an opportunity to resolve the claim. So that's where you give them a copy, give the court a copy of what you've already submitted to the defendant. The TriMet, I suppose I'm going to be arguing against the TriMet director. They cannot be represented by an attorney in small claims court. So whoever it is, it won't be an attorney representing them. It may be someone who is an attorney, but not an attorney representing them. And then after that, after I file and serve them, TriMet, they have 14 days to respond. And how are they going to respond? Well, they're going to do the same thing that they just did or didn't do. They didn't do anything. They didn't respond at all because they can't afford to. They want to do business. And the cheapest way out for them is to not respond at all. So that leaves it up to me to submit my request for a default judgment, a motion for a default judgment. And they'll pay me. I don't think there's going to be an answer. I don't think they can answer, because even if they use the same excuse that everybody else uses, I mean, on the phone, on talking to their customer service staff, they said, well, you have to wear a mask. Everybody has to wear a mask. And I go, okay, so where can I find that? I mean, you have a burden of persuasion under the Oregon Revised Statutes, the Oregon Evidence Code at Rule 305. You have the burden of persuasion. So tell me where I can find that. And they can't tell you. Although one of them did. And one of them told me it was in Title 42. And Title 42 of the U.S. Code defines person very, very similarly to the Oregon definition of person, which is corporate entities. It reads something like an individual, firm, co-partnership, joint stock company, limited liability corp, etc. And there's no mention of the people, no mention of the public, no mention of human beings. It's corporate. And this is, well, let me come back to this at the end. I'll talk about the key. But even if they say, well, everybody has to wear a mask, that is a blatant lie, because there's no place in Title 42 where it says person means everybody. It just doesn't say that. So, and what is the key? The key is the word individual. You see that, we see that. They have it posted in front of, stores, on the doors of the Macs, everywhere, as though people or persons are going to read it and understand it's them, right? But no, educated people, educated persons know, attorneys know, that person is a corporate entity. And that, let me give you the ORS on that. It's 174, chapter 174.100, subsection 6, and the Administrative Procedures Act 183.310, subsections 8 and 10. And the word, and this is the key is individual. What does individual mean? Okay, First of all, those are not definitions the way definitions are supposed to be. They are examples of the word person. So, what's an individual? An individual is a single entity from the group that it is drawn from. It is not a single entity isolated. It's not like I'm a grain of sand on the beach, or I'm a bird in a flock. Well, actually, that would be it. It would be a single entity from the group that it's drawn. But I'm not a bird in a flock, and I'm not a grain of sand on the beach. I am a human being. I'm one of the people. I'm a member of the general public. And in our state, as well as every other state in the Union, the people have all the power. And so that's the key. We are the people. We're not persons. And anybody who uses the word person to respond to us has not proven that they're not lying. They remain liars, in other words. I think that's a good enough statement. You have any questions, Ron?
Yeah, I got some.
Henry?
I've got some questions and a couple of statements.
Okay.
When we're the people and we're not part of their corporate entity, and they're trying to do this to us, and the only way we can get to them is to make them hurt financially. And we have found them guilty in a lawful court. We have provided that to the treasurer for the state of Oregon, and could possibly be the treasurer of Oregon also. It's difficult to say when you read the job titles. And to risk management that they use in lieu of a bond, and they refuse to do their job. Therefore, the prosecutors refuse to do their job, and they won't take the information and do with it what they're supposed to do. But in small claims court, it's cut and dried. If they don't show, then the small claims court judge or mediator is required to find for the person meaning singular of people, one of the people that brought the claim and has proven their case and has not been disputed, then they have to make a declaratory judgment for us to be paid. That's how I read it. Do you see it any different?
Skip the word declaratory on judgment, but yeah, that's very, very close to what I tried to say, and I didn't say the money part of it. But yeah, currently we get $10,000. The maximum, maybe I did say $10,000.
You did.
We get $10,000 for making the effort, making the socially responsible effort, and they have to pay us. It won't hurt them to pay once or twice or three times, but if we are successful the first time, we can do it again. And every time we do it, more people will find out. And I'm thinking about wearing a T-shirt that says I sued TriMet and won $10,000, and going for a ride on TriMet.
Or you could say, I
Um,
sued TriMet and you can too.
Yeah, yeah. And you could put $10,000 in the middle of that.
I have a question though. So
Yeah.
you go ahead and you go through this process, or you already have been through the process of having to listen to this annoying announcement every time the door opens, and you go through this whole process and you get your $10,000, but you don't have a car. You don't use a car for transportation. You use the Mac, so you continue to get on there every day, even after this, right? So can you do it again in a month if they don't stop putting that announcement on there?
Why can't you do it daily?
Indeed. Well, I'm going to wait until I go through it all the way one time before I do it again. Well, maybe I won't. I have a different claim to file because they won't recognize the fact that I have immigrated out of the state of Oregon, and I live in Oregon, but they won't use that as my mailing address. They use the state of Oregon, OR, and I've told them explicitly over and over, and I've written it over and over, this is my address, and they won't use it. So I've been thinking about suing them based on that, or making a claim first, and then explaining it in graphic detail, and then suing them in small claims over that. And that'll wake them up. That'll wake people up. Wow, there's a difference between a U.S. citizen and an American or an Oregonian? Wow. Of course there is. There's always been. Where did you wake up? Where were you when you woke up?
The difference between de facto and de jure. That's the line right there.
That's the line. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to also.
Go ahead.
I would just like to add also that posted on the outside of the Max line very clearly at each entrance door is a decal that says masks are required by federal law. Now that's a lie.
It's all a lie. Well, it is required for the operators of the Max. Huh?
It's not a federal law. It's not a federal law.
No.
Executive order.
And it's way before the COVID mandate thing came out. And that's another angle that you can use to accuse them of lying, because the law that they're citing existed long before the COVID virus ever got to be known, right?
The pandemic.
Say that again, Charlie?
The pandemic.
Oh yeah, the pandemic. Yeah. So it does exist, and it says that they can require the operators and any conductor or any member of the TriMet, if it's within that context, but it applies to all of these corporate entities, these incorporated public entities. But it doesn't apply to the people.
I'd like to bring up another point here, Richard. I called the attorney for the city of Beaverton, Bill Kirby, and I explained that to you today. And I've got the claim form from the city of Beaverton, and they require masks to enter City Hall, the entire building, and to enter the police station and courthouse for the municipal court. Both of them require masks, and those are two more small claims court filings. And what we decided to do was three members of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly will go to these entities and challenge them on the mask. And when they say, yeah, you have to wear a mask, well, then we'll have one person that, no, one of the people that will be denied entrance and two witnesses. Then the second one stands up and gets denied, and there'll be two witnesses. So when we're through, we'll have three claims and two witnesses on each claim. And that'll be for City Hall once and the police station twice. And then for TriMet, that'll be three. So that'll be three of us times three different entities that are denying us our unalienable rights. And so when we go to the small claims court, I'll have to come up with $37 three times. And Charlie and Cynthia will have to do the same, or if budget restraints count, maybe just one time for $37 and go for the others
I think
later.
that's it. I
But
think you will have to pay 37 for one claim, and
yep,
each of the other two will pay the same. You don't have to pay 37 three times.
I got
for
three
going
claims.
into each of the, okay, yeah,
I got TriMet.
maybe.
And so then now we come to a strategic thing. Do I take TriMet and Cynthia take City Hall and Charlie take the police station, and I hold my other two back and they hold their other two back, and we file three claims against three entities by three different people, and as soon as they pay off on the first three, then we'll give them six more. That's also a
Yeah.
thought. And
Yes, that's part of it.
and the
It
other
will
day,
build as we go ahead.
go ahead, Richard. Excuse me for
No,
interrupting.
you go ahead. No, you're talking.
Okay, the other day I took all this information that we had on the last conversation and this idea that you came up with that I think is, yeah, it's a cusp for sure. It's a crux of a situation, and I sent that information out to 42 people that I thought were responsible, and one of them called me back, a very responsible person here on Oregon, and I won't say her name now, but she's
That's
waiting
horrible.
with all of the people that she represents to see what our outcome is going to be. And I suggested to her, go make your initial attempt to ride the max or enter the city hall or enter the police station. Go make that initial attempt with as many people as you can, and then have all of those people get the claim form from Multnomah County or the city of Beaverton or the city of Portland or the TriMet, whoever it is that denied you access without a mask, that is a quasi corporate government entity, and do that primary work for all of those thousands of people that we can get to get the claim paper and fill it out and file a claim with the city and the county and the TriMet and everybody else. And then hold on to that claim and then go get your form from the small claims court and fill it out and be ready to go and have everything ready. And the minute we win the first 10 grand, we could maybe have 1,000 people with the form all filled out and go plunk their $37 down within a day or two. That would open some eyes, I believe. I yield.
Okay, I'll try to go on that. The number of people who can do this are unlimited. There's just so many of us that could do this. It's such a simple thing, and you don't have to go anywhere to get the claim form, the small claims form. They're online. All you have to do is enter small claims in Oregon, and it'll pop right up, that form. So don't worry about going somewhere. It's just there. And if we all do this, if we had all done this last year, we wouldn't be in the second year of something called a plandemic or even a pandemic. It would have been over by now.
I would add one more thing, and that is that with the proposed vax mandate passports that are proposed to be implemented in March of next year, this is urgent that we do this ASAP, because we need to head them off at the pass and have them recognize that there are a heck of a lot of us who are unwilling to tolerate even the masks, let alone the imposition of worse.
Well, Charlie, please don't confuse us, the people, with a U.S. citizen. They're only talking about U.S. citizens. Okay, they're not talking about us. And I don't know. Has anybody ever asked about the Measure 13 of 1986, the one that allowed U.S. citizens to vote? Has anybody ever done a public record law for that ballot measure? Okay.
No.
That's one thing that I've talked about, but I haven't done. And I'll
say it again.
I'll do it.
Say it again. Measure
13 of 1986. Ballot measure 13 of 1986. I've been writing every day. I write to some government official or officials every day, and it's just one of the things I haven't done, but I'll do it. I'll write to the Secretary of State, and because they have the elections division. I even know the name of the guy, and I'll ask for it. But I want to see exactly what happened in 1986. I believe, and you can't hold me to this because it's just my speculation, but I believe that Oregonians were allowed. We didn't even allow ourselves. We were the voters, we were electors. And then in 1986, some people who wanted to let U.S. citizens vote put this ballot measure on out there, and it got voted in. But it allowed them. It didn't preclude us from voting, but it allowed them, U.S. citizens, to vote. That's my belief, and I need to get the proof of that. So I'll try to draft one tomorrow. Maybe tonight.
I offer you a race. I'll put my paperwork in and you put your paperwork in, and we'll see who gets the answer back the quickest.
Okay.
And
Okay.
let's see,
No,
the bet is lunch.
okay. So you're betting that you can get your answer back before I do?
Yep. And the wager
Okay.
is for lunch.
I'll accept that.
All right, good.
All right. But wait a second. You got to give me a 3-day leeway because I can't use email. I have to use snail mail. So you have to give me 3 days leeway.
No,
Agree to
I'll
that?
use snail mail too.
Okay. Okay, good. All right.
Okay. Have we explained it well enough? Henry, do you think we've explained it well enough?
I don't think that we've gone through the details enough to allow somebody that's been listening to the show to just go out and do what we're asking. Some people might be able to go ahead and do it because they have more knowledge than most of the individual people out there. I think that if we could document the efforts that we're doing and put it into a video format of showing people exactly how this is done, I bet we could turn on a lot of people.
Well, on Monday, I'll have my copies of those forms, and Charlie should have hers, and Cynthia should have hers, and we'll have those filed and ready to go. And I'll
Do you have them filed now, Ron?
no, not yet. Not until I get 2 witnesses. But that should happen Monday, and Charlie and Cynthia should have theirs ready too. And then we can scan those and send them to you, and you'll have copies of what the documents look like, and they'll all be very similar, I'm sure, whether it's the Eugene or the Lane County Transit Authority or the Yamhill Transit Authority or whatever it is. And maybe the Portland Police Department and the Portland City Hall instead of Beaverton, but all of that will be readily available. And the guy in Medford that looks at that will be able to see what he can do and how to do it and get everything ready. And then when we collect our 10 grand, they can flood them with their claim for.
Would this
Okay.
also pertain to Amtrak? I was on Amtrak a couple of months ago coming back from Seattle, and I was so freaking annoyed the whole time. I had to wear a mask, and every stop that we stopped at, all the way back from Seattle, all the way to Portland, when they let new people on, they put in an announcement, recorded an announcement, I believe it was recorded, threatening to throw me off the Amtrak at the next stop if I'm busted 2 times not wearing my mask. I mean, that's pretty damn stressful. There was one case where I was sitting there and I had the mask on and I didn't have it over my nose. I had it over my mouth only, but I would pull the mask away from my chin so that I could breathe in and out underneath the mask, right? Kind of like a shield, right? And there was this one time I could see this guy in my peripheral vision over here on the side. He had stopped. He was one of the attendants, right? You know, and he's like going down the lines looking to make sure everybody has their damn masks on. and all that stuff. And he had stopped right there and was like looking at me. And then he like didn't say anything and then just kind of like walked away. So he almost wanted to say something about it, but he didn't, you know, and it's very stressful, you know, going, well, you know, I want to breathe, but they threaten me every time we go to a stop that they're going to kick me off, you know, so that's got to be worth, you know, $10,000 or more too, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's Amtrak, and you bought the ticket, so you know it's local. You can get them and serve them and file it with the small claims court in Multnomah County.
Okay.
Oh, and let me contribute one more thing in regard to the claim that I have filed with TriMet. Their claim form asks if you're a driver, and the significance of that for everybody in the legal community, including judges and attorneys, is that drivers are corporate entities. And they also ask you if you're married.
Oh, wow.
Which is another, it's another
Infringement.
license, which makes you a corporate entity. So
yeah, I don't remember seeing those fine prints on those documents telling me that I was changing from one of the people to a corporation.
You didn't
So
see
is that fraud on the intern there?
Oh, it is. Of course it is. Of course it's fraud. They have been defrauding us for years, for decades, for generations. And we are now all believing that we're U.S. citizens. Well, some of us are now Oregonians, but we had to learn that. But they want to use the most common denominators. Are you a driver because you put your hands on the steering wheel of your car? No, I'm not a driver. I'd use my own personal vehicle as a matter of right. Married? What does that mean? I'm not married according to law. I'm married according to my custom, my social tradition, but by law? What's law got to do with my relationship with my wife? Nothing. So be careful when you're filling out these forms to put not applicable in those places. Be careful. Everybody that's listening to the show, be careful and don't make yourself a corporate entity, a person. Don't make yourself a person. You're a people.
Richard, while you were saying all that, I got out my TriMet claim form. And number 2, where it says, do you own a vehicle? I said, decline to answer and put a big X through it. And then it said, do you intend to have a legal claim or for employees for TriMet? And I said, yes. Then it said, address of the property, and I declined to answer that. Medicare, I declined to answer that. And was there an accident? And I declined to answer that. And was there physical injury? And I declined to answer that. And none of that stuff that I felt was pertinent to the question. I just refused to answer
applicable.
it. Exactly.
That's right.
And it says,
and I put NA, not applicable.
I put DNA, does not apply. Yeah. And I did the same thing for Social Security and occupation and whether I was married. I yield.
Good. Thank you, Ron.
I see that Henry was unmuted, so maybe Henry would like to say something.
It's a matter of which year you're talking about. The age of the Gentiles came to an end in the year 2009. There's 3 years of due process to the year 2012. At the end of the year 2012, there's no such thing as limited liability. Since there's no limited liability, there's no corporations and there's no bar guilds. And I've been using this for 2 decades now. Acceptance for value upon proof of claim. That's the last mail I ever get from anybody on any topic. You want me to
No.
run that by you again? The age of
No,
the Gentiles ended in the year 2009. 3 years of due process. Year 1 was notice. Year 2 was adjudication. Year 3 was a return. And in 2012, there's no more limited liability. There's no corporations. If there's no corporations, there can be no bar guilds.
Okay. And are you ready for my comment back, Henry?
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. My thought is, as long as they're playing that game,
Who says they're playing any games? You're the one in charge.
Yeah, I'm the one in charge, and they're going to pay me for playing that game. So that's the end of my story. Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
Okay.
I think we have
done with this.
I think we have a wrap on this.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Fugitive. Thank you, William. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please visit our website, orsja.org. And you can go to YouTube, Brighteon, Facebook. From there, you can see documents that we've put on there. We have a blog. Thank you very much.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying, and then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up.
And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.